All right, so now we're ready to work on the circle. The circle is a little bit different, and I have not put in the formulas for rectangle and ellipse because you can do those yourself. And I do want to do one thing with them, which is one thing I've noticed is I've got people who keep just pausing the video, typing in the code that's there. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to pretend that I'm going to change it to something else. But what I'm really going to do is I'll put a little note in for them. And just for fun, I'm going to break their code. So if they still aren't paying attention, that's not going to work. I'm going to delete that before we get to that point. But anyway, so now the circle is going to be different than the rest. And the circle, if we look up here at the circle calculator, it has two. And actually, I may or may not have showed you this part when I created the circle calculator value. But so the circle calculator has a little bit different code than the rest. And if you look up here, there's two boxes, a radius box, which is a number, and it has an on-change event of clear diameter. And we have a diameter box, which is named diam, and it has an on-change of clear radius. Okay, so that's kind of important because that's going to make it so that they can enter either the diameter or the radius, but not both. And then, of course, it has the on-click event, the CIR area calculate button. So we're going to come down here to CIR area, and we're going to calculate that. So remember, the two boxes we have are diam and rad, I believe. Yep, diam and rad. So I'm going to say I need two variables, the diameter and the rad. I'm just going to put those on one. And actually, I need an output just like I did on the others. So those are my variables for here. Oops. And next I need to get the information from there, and I'm just going to copy and paste this. So diam is going to get it from the diameter button or from the diameter text box, and the radius is going to get it from the radius text box. And then here's what we're going to do. We are going to say, we're going to have an if statement here because we are going to calculate only the correct one. We're not going to allow someone to have both diameter and radius entered because we're going to have another piece of code that clears it out. So we are going to say if diam is greater than 0. So that means there's going to be a value in diameter. It has to be a number. The question is that number greater than 0? If it's not, if there's nothing there or it's a 0, this code's not going to run. And this code is going to be where we actually calculate the area of the circle. And we're going to say that output equals the area of a circle with the radius of, okay, and now here we're going to tack on whatever they entered into the rad box of, whoops, I should put plus. And then we're going to say output equals I'm going to put in a break tag, and then we're going to say is, I guess that's all we really need for that. And then we're going to add on, so it's going to say the area of the circle of the radius of x is, and here's where we're going to put the formula. Oh, wait, this is the diameter one, sorry. All right, now the formula for a circle is pi r squared. For the area of a circle is pi r squared. We don't have the radius, we have the diameter, and the diameter is twice the radius, so we need to divide the diameter in half as diam divided by 2. We need to square that, so that's diam divided by 2 times diam divided by 2, so we're basically squaring the radius there, and then we need to multiply it by pi, and pi has a magic value in JavaScript of math.pi. There's a special library called math, and it's got some formulas and some constants, we call them, built in, and pi is one of the constants it has. So now we have it building the output, so the area of a circle with a diameter of is, and then whatever our math says the diameter is. So that's what we're going to build the output there. And then we're going to say else if rad is greater than 0. And so we're going to get the radius, and I'm just going to copy all this and put it here. And we're going to change this to radius. And we're going to change this to radius, or actually rad, so that's what the variable name is. And then this is going to be radius times radius, or r squared, times math.pi. And forgot our little semicolons. By the way, I do tell you guys to put semicolons, and I always forget because part of the thing is I use Python more than I use JavaScript. And in Python, which you guys are going to learn next, you don't need the semicolons, so it makes life easier. So now we've built our output, and now that all that's left is to output that result to the result portion of our page. Now notice that I put that outside of the else if statement. If I put it inside the else if statement, it would only work if the else if was running. By putting it here, it's going to put the output whether the output is based on the radius or based on the diameter. All right, in a minute, I'm going to write some code that makes it so that the person cannot accidentally enter both a diameter and a radius, which would be confusing. We call that a user interface problem. But for right now, for testing purposes, it's okay. We can do that. So let me save that. And we're going to run it. And we're going to launch it in Chrome. And we are going to say circle. Oh, and our calculator didn't come up, so let me see what I did wrong here. Use calc is not defined. So here's the problem. Unexpected identifier on line 56. So let me see what I did wrong up here. So line 56. And it's not perfect. Let's see. So this created that. And what went wrong here? So choose calc is not. My error again. So you guys get to see me troubleshoot in real time because I make mistakes too. Oh, yeah, that's right. I broke this intentionally so that people who were just trying to copy off me would have a problem, and then I forgot to fix it. So I fell into my own trap. Serves me right. So let's go ahead and save that. Refresh that. We got no errors this time. And we will choose circle. All right, so let's try radius of 4, calculate. 16 times pi, that's probably about right. So I'm going to change that, or take that out now. Later, we won't have to. We're going to diameter of 5, calculate. That sounds about right to me. I can't do the math in my head, but let's assume that it is correct, calculating that correctly. All right, so far so good. Now just a couple things left to add. And again, you should fill out your own EOL area. And incidentally, I'll just tell you the formula, if you don't know it, for ellipse is width divided by 2 times height divided by 2 times pi. And I'm not going to type it in here, but I'm going to tell you. So if you're actually listening, you get rewarded. Remember to use the math.pi to substitute for pi, not just the pi. All right, so now, last thing we're going to do, or last couple of things, is if you'll remember up here when I defined the circle, I created two functions, or I made on-change functions for the circle calculator, and the two on-change things I had were clear diam and clear rad. Let me make sure I get the names right. Clear rad. So I need two functions. One's going to be clear diam, and the other one got interrupted while I was recording. I forgot exactly where I was, but so we're going to have two functions, clear diam and clear rad. And here's what they're going to do. These are on-change functions. These are going to run because there is an on-change event. So when someone changes the value of the rad field, it's going to run the clear diam field. And what that's going to do is say that, what I want to do is clear the box, the diameter box. And the diameter box's ID is diam. To clear its value. So I'm just going to say diam value equals, and then it's just going to be empty. All right, so that's all there is to it. When someone changes the radius, this is going to run. And when someone clears the diameter, or changes the diameter, I mean not clears it, this is going to run. All right, so let's try that out. So we will pull up our calculator, we'll refresh it. We're going to say circle, and I'm going to do radius of 5. All right, now let's say I change my mind and say I meant to do a diameter of 5. Now when I first type it in, you'll notice nothing happens, but as soon as I click anywhere else, including on the button, radius goes away. If I say, whoops, I meant radius, and I click anywhere, including the button, the diameter goes away. So now this is going to prevent the calculator from, whoops, I am missing a little something there. Got to fix that. Let's see, I see what I did wrong. Let's go down here to, here's what I missed. This should say output plus. It should say
good morning.
So what I was missing was the output plus here, so it was chopping off that last part. So fix that. We'll save it. We're going to go back up in here. We're going to refresh. We're going to say we want to do a circle. We're going to say the radius is 6, we're going to calculate it. Area of the circle with radius of 6 is 113. Well, let's see if that's right. If it's a diameter of 12, which is the same as a radius of 6, we should get 113.097, and we do. So our calculator works, and it automatically clears those extra values for us. All right, so there's one last thing I want you to do before your calculator is complete. And again, if you're not listening to this video, if you're just skimming to the code at the very end and typing it in, you won't know this. One last thing I want you to do is I want you to write an if statement around these various calculation areas. And so what you're going to do is you're going to put an if statement, and the if statement is basically going to say if high is not equal to 0 and wide is not equal to 0, then do all this stuff. And what that's going to do is that's going to prevent someone from trying to calculate it if you haven't entered anything and getting an undefined error. So that is the last piece you need to finish your calculator. If it's not in there, I'll assume you didn't watch the videos and you missed a lot of good information, so you deserve to miss some points too. All right, so that's our calculator. Not every line of code's in here. You're going to have to, so you can't stop it and copy it. You're going to have to add a few lines of code in here. I didn't do all the ones for the different choose calc and everything, and I told you the code to use to make sure that it doesn't run with a 0 in it, but other than that, you got almost everything you need here, so there's no excuse for not finishing this.